And if we begin to move into this space more consciously, right, we can begin to absorb some of that light that summer begins to offer.
It's like nature is a mirror reflection of all of us, but summer is, an invitation also to remember that we're not separate of the earth, but we are the earth.
But something that you can sit back and process and be like, man, what was it when I was a little girl, a little man, that really brought a lot of joy to my heart? Welcome back to Conscious Educators, the Heart-Centered Classroom. I'm Rodney Solomon, and I'm here with my brother and co-host, Mychal Mills. Today's episode is for every educator who has poured and poured and poured and is finally stepping into this summer season, asking, how do I fill myself back up?
Yeah, Rodney, and that's beautiful because in this episode, we're going to talk about what it really means to rejuvenate yourself, to reconnect with yourself, and really not just unplug, but to connect to something greater, a source greater within all of you. So during this summer season, it's not just off from school as educators, but it's going beneath the role and helping us connect to the spirit that actually helps fulfill the role as an educator.
Yeah, so before we do that, let's take a moment to give some gratitude, appreciation, and thanks to every educator out there who has poured into youth all year long, who has poured into us in a certain place and times. We share these words from our heart to yours. Don't just listen to them, but feel them. We appreciate you all.
We care about you all.
And we love you all. And let's take a nice big breath in. Slow sigh out. And for all those who have been an educator in the youth field this year, what is one thing that you are grateful for, that you can say you truly appreciate? Who are the students, partners, co-workers that you know care about you? And really let that energy simmer in your heart as we shift into our check-in. Brother Mike, what color are you feeling today, and what is one thing that you're grateful for about an educator in your life? Put a little remix to it.
A little remix. So color I'm feeling right now is a vibrant orange, and feeling that way because I'm just feeling really good. The morning ritual was beautiful, the self-care, taking care, and just settling the mind, getting ready, priming it for the day, and had a beautiful facilitation this morning, and now I'm here having this very, very necessary conversation around not just rejuvenation, but refilling the spirit and refilling the well. And an educator, you already know where I'm going to go. But shout out to Miss Burkett, a name I often mention as an educator who took the time to allow me to be seen, heard, and valued, show me that I mattered. And this individual really took to empathizing with my life journey at that time when I was in school, and took the time to get to know me on a human level, not just on a student. This is a student, you sit down, you listen, but really supported the growth of me as I am today. And so shout out to Miss Burkett and her daughter, who's now an educator as well, Taryn Burkett. But yes, much love.
If y'all listening, hope you felt that.
Yes. What about you?
Color today, I feel like a part of my old archetype. I went to bed real late last night, and I'm like, I've been getting 7 hours of sleep consistently, probably about like a couple months now.
So
like
150. I saw 150 a.m.
I tried to do the same at 8 o'clock, but I hit the wrong button.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I got up a little later, and I know I'm still going to do my routine of like working out, but I love working out in the morning. So I would say like I am a red that's not supremely bright and vibrant, but still grounded, because I made sure I did a deep meditation before I went to sleep. And grateful, man. When I did it, I'm going to go with flash in my consciousness. I was thinking about, I never had him as a teacher, but he was my high school football coach my senior year, and his crew. But Coach John Fiore, he came in as a gym teacher, never had him in gym, but he was in the cafeteria. Like, I used to cramp up at some of the games. He'd be like, yo, why is this man cramping? And he's like, oh, you drinking soda on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I was drinking that Shasta from Sam's Club back in the day. I know, so if y'all know what I'm talking about, y'all know. And he would always be in my classes like, yo, just walking randomly to make sure I wasn't acting a fool, and like kept me accountable. But on a deeper level, like, he was one of the few coaches that really tapped into all of my potential and showed how to push me and get me into those deep spaces of like conscious discomfort to like you could like rise above, and that was something powerful that really began to show me what I was truly capable of, that made me believe like, oh, I could play football at May. I could be at these schools with these big boys. So shout out to John Fiore. I know he's at Montclair State, no, Montclair High School. I don't know if he's still there. Won a couple state championships over there. So if he took that no squad in Marlboro to like a 3-7, I'm like, he could definitely take some real kids into a championship team. So
shout out to Marlboro.
yeah. 3-7. When you saw the team photo, you be like, they won 3 games? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Moving along.
And thank you for sharing that. And this is a beautiful conversation because it's not just about the end of the school year. So let's begin here. It's not just the end of a school year. And as educators, we know that's the off season. That's the time to just unplug. But it's not the finish line. It's the beginning point of something deeper. It's a sacred threshold, and it's your body, not inviting your body to slow down, but to plug into your spiritual rejuvenation that you need. It's something deeper and something that's more sustaining inside of you. So when you come back into the next school year, they're getting an abundance version of you, not the version of you that you have, put into for 180 days. Let me just make it past this, this day, that day, but, the fullest version of you. And when we talk about burnout and when we acknowledge burnout, it's very, very real. Yeah. It's not just physical, it's the emotional disconnection. It's the divided mind. It's, the hurt, the painful heart that we're holding on to things. And with all that in our bodies and in our being, we forget why we started this journey in the first place.
Yeah, and this is real. And I'm going to say the science backs this, but also my personal observation working in a school system for over 8-10 years from myself and kids, and really seeing like when you get to that home stretch, I'm talking about you coming back from spring break for a good percentage of it, you start to see that lag. You start to see that supreme autopilot just going through the emotion. You see the fatigue, you see the burnout, but you're going to see that educators across a spectrum begin to often reach a peak emotional exhaustion towards that end of the year season. That May, all the activities that have to go on, and they like call it compassion fatigue. This could just be not having the proper systems and structures and routines in your life that allow for you to show up. It's like I call it a 182 game season. You know what I'm saying? Like baseball's no joke, and it really takes a lot of discipline to show up. But we're human, and we have to realize that we have to take advantage then as we transition into this summer season, because there's a wisdom in nature, and in each season it really calls for a certain expression of energy. And if we begin to move into this space more consciously, right, we could begin to absorb some of that light that summer begins to offer, that openness and expansion that begins to create more vitality, where we could really, it's like we could charge that battery up if we do things rightly and really get that restoration that's going to support not just our presence and showing up, but just the soul of our overall well-being in life, that we have to go right back in 2 months later. Because you blink your eyes, it's like, okay, we right back into the mix. And that's something I think is necessary that we have to really bring to the surface.
I like that you said that too, because you were starting to bring in the indigenous wisdom in there and the sacred knowledge of what summer means. Not summer as in like vacations, cruise, parties. Yeah, that's enjoy nice that. Too, that's right? Great. But but also take the time to connect to the land, connect to the elements, and use it as a sacred renewal of your heart and soul and the spirit of why you do what you do. And it just really just allows us to return to our roots of who we are and connect to community, connect to the land, take your shoes off, walk barefoot, and not just with others, but really capturing a deeper part of ourselves. And when you connect to that deeper layer of yourself, the eternal self, that is fulfilling, always eternally fulfilling. So you don't need to go and plug anywhere else. When you connect to that layer of yourself, that piece of yourself, not even a layer, it's the eternal being within you, you are connecting to a source, a energy source that will last you lifetimes. So it's not about the cruise. The cruise is going to get you 2, 3, 4 more weeks, in the school setting, right? It's not about the going out having a good time, but it's really about investing that time inside of you, nourishing the heart and soul of who you are. So as an educator, when you come back to that role, when you come back in September, whenever your school season begins again, you are operating from a space beyond what these kids can know, and they can feel that essence from your presence.
Okay, I'm curious, and I might be jumping ahead, but like, what are some things that you like to begin to do? That's like one simple thing that really helps you renew and recharge, and taking advantage of some of this summer energy and this indigenous wisdom to really assist you in just showing up in life.
Nature. Going out to going out to parks, going out to land, and really being barefoot, taking the time to just feel. And it invites you to feel again and slow down and move at the pace of nature, move at the speed of nature, and really connect to the natural elements that not just outside but are on inside as well. And it's like nature is a mirror reflection of all of us. So when I'm in that space, I slow down. My mind becomes more primed for higher levels of thought and consciousness. And it's just so beautiful because you're in the space of stillness, right? And it's like nature is everlasting, and you start to learn from nature. It's like, oh, what do you have to teach me, right? What do I need to take back into the spaces where I am in a hustle and bustle, and I am doing this, that, and the third? It's like, oh, okay, remember this here, because this is always a part of you. Even when you're doing those things, understand that being is always a part of your doing.
Yeah, that's dope, and really giving like a real practical way to take a step back, to realign yourself, and to gain a lesson. You don't have to be the teacher. Let you be taught by something deeper, and I think that's powerful. And really like thinking about how summer is a phenomenal opportunity for us to really get into right relationship, right? But there is a lot of temptation. The ice cream trucks is ringing, you know what I mean? The barbecues is happening, you know what I mean? The specials is extra savory, and it's always going to be something that's going to want to get you, pulled out of balance for the temporary satisfaction to, get that comfort over the things that I have not processed yet. But it's really something special if we begin to take the time to get right with our food. I'm not in that rush and having to eat a meal between lessons. I can really pause and begin to say, like, what food can I begin to set myself up that's tasty, but that's also nourishing, and that's also becoming more present of what's inside there. Our laughter, connecting with family, and rebuilding those relationships. For some folks who are constantly on the grind and doing the work and the parenting thing, like I got 3 kids, we got to take them to the activities. We got a little bit more space. If you're lucky, you might be able to sign them up into a summer program that you could give yourself that room to truly begin to strengthen those relationships. And if you by the shore, I know we might got some listeners that are in the Midwest. I've seen a couple on the chart, you know what I'm saying? But if you got some water nearby, man, that water is a great way not just to chill out and relax, but to really begin to immersify yourself in an element that begins to shift perspective, begins to open up your mind, and really taking that time to utilize space to begin to awaken yourself back to life, and doing things that are going to truly nourish you from the inside out.
That's beautiful. And I think I'm going to reflect that question back to you before we move forward is, what do you do? And I'm going to put you into the role because there's some, parents who have children, right? And, their children are at home, right? All summer. So it's not a vacation for some educators and some parents out there. But what do you do as a father of 3 with your wife and your household? How do you guys enjoy summer in a way where we're talking is really rejuvenating the heart and soul?
Yeah, I think the most beautiful and powerful thing that it really challenges us as a family is to develop more structure, more routine, and more ritual. Because it's like when you are a teacher and you start your class from the beginning of the school year, if you don't have those agreements put in place, if you don't have the repercussions of what happens, and you don't really stick to them, and you start to lose the course, it can become very chaotic in that classroom very soon. And at a micro level, I know from that experience of youth development that, like, okay, me and my wife have to really begin to put structure into. My son K-Root's home from school already. They finished June 3rd. So my other son's going to get out of school June 20th. So we have to develop routines. So, and that's creating a routine is me surrendering is surrendering that I had this space where I was doing deep work from this time to this time, but it's really integrating. Okay, what's the first step? We're reading a book. Okay, we're doing the practical life, some chore in the household. Okay, we're going outside, getting some fresh air. Boom. Then we passing the baton, but really buckling down and creating better systems. But I say the biggest blessing in that surrendering is like I'm outside a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like it reminds, like we got the red light panels that we use on a regular basis. When summertime comes, I'm like, oh, this is the real red light. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like when you feel that sun from the sunlight, like that thing is like it makes you wonder, like, what is this
Yeah.
technology? But it really charges me up. So in those spaces, I take more walks, and I'm utilizing space to expand my consciousness by taking mindful walks, reflecting on ideas. It's not always just the grind and gritty work, but it's the internal processing work. And I don't get so bogged down on this Western ID that I have to continue to grind. But in that surrender, I'm more effective and efficient on what I know is important to do. But I would say the priority becomes the family, but it's also a priority of the work because it has to continue on. But it shifts my idea of what work has to be and that expectation. My wife sometimes she's more like she likes to get stuff done, but she's more flexible. We tag and go back and forth. But I think it really helps us be outdoors more, connect with our children, and we hear it all the time. They're not gonna be this young forever.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
me thinking, like me holding my 5 months old, I'm like, man, you ain't gonna be this for another day. This 5 month old.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not gonna sit here and just say, no, I'll be up till 1 o'clock tonight, because that moment's not gonna be there forever.
Yeah.
And really prioritizing those spaces as time comes along.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And for those who are local, you might see Brother Rod at Summerfield Park. You know,
Yeah, I don't know.
you know,
What's
with the
Summerfield?
kids. So make sure you say hi, give a salute, some. You know, but summer is an invitation also to remember that we're not separate of the earth, but we are the earth, and it helps us connect to that internal nature. And this season is not just a break, but it's a return to something that is a source of belonging, right? Because we talk about belonging. We have a belonging circle at the a little shout out to the circle of belonging at the Conscious Community Center. But it's this is a place where we belong. Nature doesn't have discrimination. It is an ecosystem, and we are a part of that ecosystem. So it helps us, as one young mind told me before, she's talking to a group of adults. This is a young person, and we're talking about climate justice and climate change. But it's like, yeah, for the adults, just get outside and play in the dirt. Just play. It's that simple, right? Just get outside and play, enjoy the elements, and and come home to yourself. And so summer could be a source of homecoming, where I come home to myself. It's not a retreat from life, from school, responsibilities, but it's a return to something that is alive inside of you. It's a return to your aliveness, your fullness, your eternal being. So this is a invitation for listeners to reflect on what that means for you. Where do you feel whole? Where do you feel like a space where you feel truly alive? And maybe you return to an idea or a question. It's like, when was the last time you connected to the earth? When was the last time you walked barefoot or just played in the dirt? When was the last time you just looked at a tree with curiosity and, man, it's like, wow, this is beautiful. How long has this tree been here? Right? Can I just be curious in those spaces? Have you looked at your reflection in water? So this is an invitation for you to also remember who you were before who you became in this very moment.
Yeah, and it really just sounds like in a very poetic way. Like as you were talking, I just kept saying, yeah, just pause, 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 and really realizing that what comes from that space of pause, what can be discovered in that space of peace, can truly give you the wisdom that you need to hear for the clarity to help you move forward. And sometimes when we operate from stress, and like I was reading something and it was like, how do I know it is my higher mind speaking or my trauma stress mind speaking? And sometimes when we're in the mix of things, we're in a hurricane and tornado, we're just being tossed around and we don't even really get a chance to understand like which version of me really is this. And yeah, we could be stressed out for weeks, months, but there's a version of you that's not stressed out. And when that version of you comes to the surface, there's something that could be produced and created that only you can do. And hearing you say pause at the water, pause with the sun, go into the dirt, it is really like a return back to stillness,
Mm.
a return
Mm.
back like you are about to go into a quantum reality when the school year starts next year. And artificial intelligence was just getting a warm up lap, in the Atari phase, but they're saying every year is 10 years of development in
Mm.
this little equation they have. So it's like for us to be prepared on what's about to come, we have to be in our center. And we have 2 months and like a couple days that you got. You know what I'm saying? Some of us working in summer schools, getting the extra check. So what am I going to do to really make sure that I come there where I don't just take a break from the year, but I'm experiencing rest? When I say rest, think restoration, think rejuvenation, think something that's going to allow you to transform physically, mentally, and emotionally. And what if this reconnection of joy, slowness, and beauty became a ceremony that structures a routine that allows for you to navigate what we already know was about to happen. Like these youth are changing. They on these tablets. They getting dopamine rushes. So when they coming in hearing us teach, I see it already. It's like, oh, it's not like unless you got some bells and whistles, and it may not be as exciting. But when you can connect to the heart, when you can connect to something deeper, that's something that will always bring back a spark that is beyond any tablet, any TikTok.
Yeah.
So I hope.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I know for listeners, we're talking in the subjective realm, and I know it may not be something that's easily accessible to everyone, but we're gonna try to bring some personal stories into the mix. And I'm gonna ask Brother Rod, like, when was the last time you felt like you truly remembered yourself, like truly remembered yourself, and what were you doing or what were you being in that moment?
Yeah, I think eventually it's gonna have to get to a point where you have to remember yourself every single day that you rise, right? And I think it was in the one of the books, could be the Yoga Sutras, but it really speaks about like uh, a lot of our minds are colored, and not until the mind is empty or the mind is clear can one see their true reflection.
Mm.
And to really even take a moment where that clarity lasts for more than seconds, it does take consistency and practice. But every morning I rise, it's a ritual. I pause, I scan my body, I notice the dream, I connect to the emotion, but I also create a space where I go beyond attaching to those thoughts, those feelings. And in the knowledge that I have studied and learned, and the wisdom that I follow and adhere to, it speaks about, the 0 point in quantum physics, or that space of eternal peace is a space where all things are birthed from. And that is where I must remember, yes, I'm in this experience and I have to deal with the challenges of running a family and maintaining an organization, but that's not who I am. You know what I'm saying? And when I could connect to that part that's beyond what we would identify as our ego, in stillness, after the pause, after the breath work, after the pause of holding the power yoga pose for a couple of breath seconds, after the pause of getting off the PEMF mat, those are the moments that I remember. And when I go into that space, that 0 point, that stillness, when I come out of that remembering, the challenges don't become challenges, they become opportunities for growth. They become lessons. The perspective shifts, the hope expands, and I think that remembering on a daily basis is truly essential in navigating the difficulties. Like the story I just shared with you. You know what I'm saying? Like it is necessary because there's no way out of
Yeah.
that besides remembering, yeah, like this is going to pass. But who, I tell my kids all the time, you will always outlast the pain. Who and what you are is beyond that space. So all that to say, it is the morning routine and ritual of
Mm.
creating space where I can amplify the presence of that pause to be fuel back to that center point that exists within me. So that is me, but I'm wondering, Brother Mike, what is it for you when it comes
Mm.
to reconnecting to yourself during the summer month to help you remember the essence of who you are?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Remember. put yourself back together. KRS-One. But,
Okay.
no, I said that line in one of his songs is going through my mind. But I will say there's two things that I've been reconnecting with lately that have been like supremely powerful in my mind. Actually, I'm going to say three things. That third thing I just added is reconnecting to spiritual texts as a foundation, and I do enjoy different sacred and spiritual texts, and not enjoy them, but I'm showing different pathways of connecting to myself as I connect with the text. So the one I'm on right now, haven't revisited since like maybe 2019, 2020,
Okay.
is the Gita.
Hey,
Uh,
hey.
and it was actually funny because during the workout today, the passage on the divided mind, and when you can go past and be in a space of the undivided mind, where there is no division and you're just in harmony in this pure space, who do I become? And I was saying that during my workout this morning. During a workout that was a different pace of workout. It wasn't the fast, high intensity workout, but it was more of a slow pace where you pause. When you do a push up, you pause for a second or two, then push back up. But I was able to practice that in that space. I'm like, wow. It felt like I was exceeding the workout. It wasn't just physical, and it wasn't even mental. It was like a spiritual workout during that time. So definitely spiritual texts, because that nourishes the soul, helps you remember who you are. And last two things, I've been connecting to Vipassana, sitting in stillness, sitting in quiet, and just sitting for uh, extended periods of time. To be honest, half an hour right now, but just sitting in a space of nothingness, and where nothing else exists and everything exists at once. And in that space, I feel like, wow, where did time go? Right? And time, everything, it just collapses, and you're just in that space of no space. So Vipassana, sitting in stillness, sitting in quietude, and also what's sacred to my heart is sound. Sound energy. So reconnecting to that every day. Because I found myself, I play maybe 4 or 5 times a month, but I got to
That's
play
my
for myself
sound
at
too.
home. It is my sound too. It is my, trust me and believe, it is my sound too.
Yeah.
So when I'm playing it, and I feel it on the days where I'm playing 1, 2, or 3 times that day, or like 5 times in 2 days, I'm like, oh, this is what you need to do. It's resonance training, right? You're carrying a resonance into the next resonance, and it's so powerful. So sound, and for those who are new to what I'm talking about sacred sound, not the sound of turning on Spotify, your favorite playlist. I'm talking about listening to sacred elements like crystal singing bowls, like Himalayan bowls, or gong, or whatever it may be. But in a space where it's really entraining you to be like in that space of being,
Yeah.
the eternal being. But so sound has been very profound. I found a couple of great recordings out there that have been beautiful, and I'm also playing for myself at home
Okay.
too.
Talking about
So
your
it's been
recordings?
beautiful. Yeah.
Oh
Oh
man, it's
man.
dope. But it seems like the foundation of your remembering is what sparks the possibilities of what can exist in this plane.
Yeah.
That gives you the strength to still move forward when life is still challenging. And I think it's good for y'all to reflect on what helps me remember, right? Or do I even remember
Yeah.
who I am? To what degree? I was putting together the KCW trend. I was like, oh yeah, I remember when we shared with the KE folks the five doshas, and just seeing the layers of self awareness and really understanding this philosophy as you can move through your body, as you can move your awareness through the energy field of your breath, if you can move your awareness into your mental plane, just be an observer, not attaching, if you can move beyond the mental plane into the wisdom plane, that's the higher mind, the conscious, and then you move from that wisdom plane into the bliss body, but that's in quantum physics, the 0 point, the nothingness, the stillness, the emptiness. And when you are able to move your awareness through whatever practice, the holding the push-ups, the breath work, the technology, the mat, when you go back into your wisdom, it gets so much louder. The intuition is what HeartMath has shown you in their research. But these are frameworks of information that are going to be necessary to understand, to navigate. I'm not going to just say this is just, I'm going to say the human being Because I keep telling folks, I don't think people have any idea what is about to happen with artificial intelligence and how it's going to shift from jobs, careers, financial states of well-being, and how we're going to be able to ground ourselves.
Yeah,
It
man.
has to be a space of remembrance. So
So yeah, I think it's important now to actually provide some type of path or some type of template on how to reconnect with yourself, reconnect and transform your heart and soul, and rejuvenate your spirit in this moment. Because this is not just a time to be idle. This is not just a time to sit back and yes, relax, but just don't do nothing, but do nothing with purpose, if that makes sense. There's a paradox there. But we have 5 invitations for you, educators, and anyone who's listening in general, for you to really connect to a heart-centered rejuvenation this summer. And we can go back and forth. Number 1 is daily unstructured time. And it's kind of a paradox because sometimes I'll create time for unstructured time, but it's put it on the calendar. It's unstructured, but and this might be an invitation to connect to Earth, right? And you don't have to do it in a structured way where it's like, okay, I'm going to go to this park, I'm going to see this point, go to that point, and I'm going to follow this trail, maybe get lost on the trail. Maybe get lost in nature. Take a Super Soul Sunday is what I call it, and really take space for yourself and get lost in nature. But some unstructured time, and you can see what's really going on in your mind during that time.
yeah. Number 2, uh, reclaiming joy rituals. Coming back to something that you loved as a child. That could be dancing, drawing, bike rides, sitting watching the stars at night. But
Mm.
something that you can sit back and process and be like, man, what was it when I was a little girl, a little man, that really brought a lot of joy to my heart? And I used to do a lot of like lanyards and like these little little toys out of beads that I like took like some sewing. I used to love doing those things. I see it in my son too. Like he just loves to build and create. So it's things like that that I'm grateful when I have kids. It reminds me like, yeah, I always wanted more Legos when I was a kid. Well, you get to be a big kid now, Daddy, and build with them though. But I used to be like, oh, I gotta stop and do my work. But doing those brings a joy and a space of pause that I often don't remember.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. That's powerful. That's powerful. And I'm gonna do 3 and 4, and maybe you give a little inside scoop on 5. But number 3 is sacred solitude, and this is where you unplug at least once a week, and maybe a park, maybe your backyard, maybe you go into maybe it's a space in your home, but unplug once a week and be alone with yourself, not just by yourself, but with yourself, and connect to the self that you can see in the mirror of that sacred solitude. And number 4 is create a yes list. And I want to take this one because I am creating a more of a yes list in my life, being more creative, doing something more creative, and choosing practices that are different from my normal practice, and getting outside my comfort zone, and what makes me feel free and alive. And even a couple of weeks, I took myself out of my comfort zone. I had like a little gathering at my home. I was like, I'm more of a solitude person, never really have a gathering, slash moving in
So you
party.
got, I was like, I gotta find something
Yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah. But what is
But he
that?
did feed us
Yes.
though. He did feed
Yeah,
us
yeah,
though.
yeah,
So
yeah. Some pizza and cake. Yeah, but what does that list look like for yourself, family?
yeah,
Yeah.
make it a sacred yes, as I was sharing with my wife the other day. And lastly, number 5, end of day embodiment. Right before I go to bed, taking the time to really do a practice. Right, move the body, do a couple deep breaths, do a little bit of stillness, a body scan. But something that really allows you to regulate the nervous system, that begins to soften the mind and prepare the brainwave state for that deeper rest. But also could be a great opportunity if one that needs some tactile to journal to process your day. Often I always do. I learned this technique from someone. I think it might have been Deepak Chopra when in his older books. He was like, man, like the the 2 minute flash where you got to scan your day from the beginning to the end, and as you scan that, if there was any spot of the day that had a big charge or feeling, whether it be a positive or negative, process that, play it back. If it was a negative, play it in your mind how you would want it to be. So that way you're conditioning your mind and your brain to naturally begin to rewrite the script in real time, but creating a space for some form of embodiment that includes self awareness, self regulation, or a heart expanding gratitude, whether the day is going good or bad. And that really helps add a dividend to your next day and how you're going to be moving into your life. But having something that can really support you in finding that hope and peace that we all deserve.
Oh, that's real. That's real. Thank you for sharing that. These are 5 invitations, and you can make that list a little bit longer, but do whatever you need to do to reconnect to you. And I think that one that says be alone with yourself, not by yourself, not alone, but connecting to the eternal you that lives inside of you in this moment. And we're going to take a moment to just slow things down, and really connect to the space, connect to that part of you. And I'm going to invite you into a mindful moment. If you're driving right now, keep the eyes on the road, keep your focus on the road. But if you have a moment to just settle in, to just reconnect, I invite you into a sacred pause. I invite you just to slow down right now. If you're walking, maybe you stand. If you're sitting, maybe you just relax into a good posture, your head, neck, and spine in one straight line. And if it feels safe for you, I invite you to close the eyes, bringing all of your awareness inside. And I invite you to relax your body, your mind, your heart, and relax your breath. And just reconnect. Remember yourself. And just to clear any debris that may be there, I invite you to take a long, deep breath in. And a slow sigh out. And I invite you to connect to the deeper layer of your heart and ask, what am I longing for right now? What is my heart's desire to reconnect to the parts of you that have been dormant? What is my heart's desire to remember the parts of you that have been forgotten? And I invite you to sit with that inquiry and just notice the response. It may not come in the form of words. It may come in the form of sensation. It may come in the form of flashbacks, memories. But I invite you just to sit with the question, to sit with curiosity. What is my heart longing for right now? What do I need to reconnect to? What do I need to remember? And inviting another deep breath in. And a slow breath out. Wherever you are, wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingers. If your eyes are closed, you can gently open them. And before rushing to the next thing, I invite you just to slow down in this space. And maybe you just journal. Click pause on the podcast, just journal. What came to my being during that moment? What came to my heart when I asked those questions? What did I learn about myself? What did I remember about myself? Just take that moment, family. Take that moment. And I know we're coming to the home stretch, so I want to thank you for that practice. And let me ask you, Brother Rod, what came up for you during that practice?
Oh man, routine, ritual. Really just finding a flow of life. So even when it does get hard, it's kind of like when you play football in college. It's like you ain't gonna go to practice every single day, but it's
Mm,
such a strong routine and ritual that you just showing up
yeah,
and just doing what you got to do. And sometimes life is not always gonna be peaches and cream and kumbaya, but with a structure and routine, it really allows a flow of just doing things not just for myself and my children, the family, organization. So really slow journey because it just can't happen
yeah.
in 1 second though. But
Mm-hmm.
having grace in that
That's
space.
beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all for being with us today, man. This podcast is a reflection of something deeper that we are building within the organization. And this is our heart and soul coming out into the form of words in this digital plane, this, space of the eternal, the digital plane. But thank you all for being with us today. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Something in here resonate with you, man. Share, like, subscribe, give us some feedback. Let us know how you doing, man. And we definitely appreciate you more than you know. We know that journey is not easy, but every educator makes a difference because somewhere some youth is going to need you, your highest version, to truly awaken into who they're supposed to be. So we definitely appreciate every listener that has taken the time to take our energy and support our work.
Yeah, and your support matters. Your support matters in what we do, how we do it, and the longevity of what we do. And yeah, so give us feedback. Let us know if something resonates or if something doesn't resonate. We want all feedback. We want to make sure this is connected to all of you, and also your support matters in the form of financial donations. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, Conscious Educators, a heart-centered classroom. It helps us continue to support the mission and vision of what we're doing here on Earth. So, $1, $2, $3. Check out our website, conscious with a K.org. Check us out on social media. Instagram is KYDS_NJ. But we look forward to connecting with all of you and your support and come through to an event and let's build.
Hey, man. Yeah, so we appreciate you all, family,
We care about you all.
and we love y'all.
Peace.